Hi YouTube. I'm here today to talk about my favorite series of all time, George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. Right now I'm in the middle of rereading the third book, which is A Storm for Swords, which is this right here. I read the series when I was in high school and I loved them, but I was really busy doing stuff, my university. So I never got a chance to reread them, and also I was patiently waiting for his fourth book to come out, A Feast of Crows, but it didn't come out until like 2 years after the third book, and I got impatient and kind of put the books down. And when I did get A Feast of Crows, I thought it was pretty disappointing. I didn't really give it a chance, so I think that's kind of unfair to say. But I didn't like the characters because they didn't, I was expecting, there's kind of a cliffhanger in the third book, and I was expecting he would, go deeper in that, and he didn't, and I guess I was disappointed there. But the point is that they're really great books, and you should try to give them all a go at the same time. But his new book, A Dance for Dragons, comes out in a month or so. I'm not really sure. You'd have to check on Amazon.com. But I'm trying to get the characters and the storyline, back in my head and everything. So I know what happens, and I won't be asking, oh, what happened, blah blah blah, and trying to read back in the book. So yeah. What can I say about these books? I guess I can start to talk about George R. R. Martin's writing style. Um, his books are really hard to get into from what I've read on Amazon.com. I know some people have the 100-page minute rule. If you're not in a book, if you're not really into a book or really getting into a book into 100 pages, then just quit the book. And that works for some books, but it doesn't work for this book because literally every novel is like 1,000 pages, so you're not going to get the entire feel for the book in 100 pages. It does start off slow, and I guess that can be frustrating to some people who want a quick read or whatever. But it's not really a quick read. It can be a quick read because it's really hard to put down in my case. Yeah. It really depends on how fast you read and if you can really, stay on a book or not. But I suggest reading it to the end of the book, and even if you didn't like the first book, I would read it to the second and to the third book because, in my opinion, the second and third book are even better than the first, which a lot of authors really fail to do. Everyone has their debut book, and it's supposed to be the best, but his just keeps on getting better and better, and that's what's awesome about him. Yeah, so another thing is the numerous cast of characters in these books. I've heard complaints that people really can't keep all the characters in their head, and I can understand that because I read somewhere where he uses over 1,000 characters alone in the first book. But I wouldn't really worry about that because I don't want to give anything away, but let's just say the cast of characters goes from here to here by the third book, and people you don't expect to die. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to give anything away, but that really won't be a problem in the third book. Yeah, and also most of the characters that he does use does name are names that you don't even have to remember. They're just like the names of some of the ruling families, nobles. I don't even know why he uses them. I think just to make it a little bit more realistic, and you just don't have these, this one set of characters, and you're dealing with him the whole time. You have you have more input from other characters, and that makes it more realistic to me. About his writing style, he's a damn good writer. Some people say he's not, and I guess that's a matter of opinion, but to me, especially in the fantasy genre, you'd be really hard pressed to find an author that can write as good as George Martin does. I mean, he's on the level of Tolkien as far as writing style goes. None of his words sound cheesy or made up or anything like that, you know. But also, what I really like about these books is that George R. Martin does a really good job of getting the reader immersed in his world. And that's another reason why I say he's on the level of Tolkien, is because when I read Tolkien, I was extremely immersed in Middle Earth. I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to know its myths, its legends, its stories, you know, how the people came about, how the ruling families came to power. And that's the same you get in these books. I mean, in my experience in these books, I just want to know more about them. I really want him to actually write separate books about the myths and legends of Westeros, or however you call the land in these books. As far as a rating, and I'm not talking about quality, I'm talking about, you know, PG-13 or rated R. It's rated R, maybe. Shouldn't be read by anyone under 10 unless you're really a mature 10-year-old, because he's just really brutal with his characters. A lot of them die horribly and violently, and you know, there's gang rape and all sorts of rape. Just things that you wouldn't want to expose the kid to, I guess. But that's how I was exposed to sex, was reading it through books. So I didn't, in turn, really messed up. So maybe you should give your kid a chance in reading books like this. Anyways, yeah, there's also incest in the book, and you know, little girls being married off at the age of 12 and things like that. But I think it's important for the books. I mean, I'm not a fan of incest or, you know, little girls getting married off at a young age, but it did happen, and he's trying to set his story back in the past, you know, being read in the present. And I think it's, you know, that's what happened, you know, especially in the rural lines. Brothers and sisters and cousins or whatever were married off to each other to keep the bloodline pure. And that's exactly the example he uses in his books. And little girls were not, you know, seen as, you know, couldn't marry for love. They were seen as a barter for alliance and things like that. So I kind of like that. And maybe it's just me, but I kind of like reading about, you know, sex and stuff like that. It makes it more interesting to me. Also, I'd like to comment about the magic of these books. I've read a lot of fantasy books, probably too much, and I kind of have a thing with Harry Potter, and I really don't like Harry Potter. I don't like, it's just me, it just seems really kiddie to me. And, you know, you have witches and wizards, and they're, you know, waving a broomstick, and, you know, you turn into a toad or whatever, and it seems like really Halloween-y, you know, copying, you know, what's already been done. And with these books, what magic is just a part of the background. What's really, I guess, in the foreground is the political intrigue and the political plot, you know, twisted turns and everything. That's really what's most important in these books. Fantasy is a big deal. You have wizards, I guess. You don't really know if it's magic or coincidence, what their magic produces. And there's you know, dragons and stuff like that. But they're not really, you know, a big role in these books, you know. So it's more about the storyline, I guess you would say. But anyways, I'm about done. I don't really have a lot of time left. But if you're going to read anything this year, go out and get these books and read them. Even if you don't like fantasy, they're still a great series. So I've probably stumbled a lot and stuttered during this video, so sorry. So anyways, bye-bye.